Hello, I'm Lewis Vaughan-Jones. Welcome to the programme. Washington says it paused a shipment of bombs to Israel last week over fears they might be used in an assault on Rafah. More than 1 million Palestinian refugees are sheltering in the city in the south of Gaza. Israel says it will deepen its attacks on Rafah until Hamas is eliminated or the first of the remaining hostages are released. The defence minister said Israel was ready to make compromises to secure their return, but insisted that Hamas only responded to force. Israel has sent a delegation to Cairo to resume negotiations, and Hamas says the talks will be the last chance for hostage release. Israeli forces went into Rafah on Monday night in defiance of international pressure, seizing the border crossing with Egypt. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned that a full-scale assault on Rafah would cause a humanitarian nightmare. Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has called for international intervention to prevent the city from being invaded. Live now to Jerusalem, and our correspondent Yolande Nell is there. Hi Yolande, just bring us up to date with the latest.
Well, when it comes to this US shipment that's been paused, that's really getting a lot of attention in the Israeli media this morning. This is a senior US administration official who's been speaking to journalists on condition of anonymity, really because this is such a sensitive subject. And it's understood that this shipment that was stopped last week included some of the 2,000-pound bombs, really big bombs, the US has been sending over to Israel. It's the first time that we've heard that a shipment has been stopped like this, certainly since the start of the war 7 months ago. The US has publicly been restating its ironclad support of Israel, but we know there have been these constant worries from the Biden administration that Israel could go for a full-scale assault of Rafah against its advice, because the US has really been pushing for much more sort of limited options to go after Hamas in Gaza's southernmost city. And the concern would have been really that the size of some of these bombs could have had a devastating effect in a place that is just so crowded with displaced people.
Issue of aid, what is the latest with crossings and getting in?
So we've had, in the past day or so, humanitarian agencies, the UN, coming out really expressing concerns about what could happen as a result of Israel's military offensive in Rafah, which it says is limited, but it has resulted in the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt being completely closed for supplies coming in there. And this after the Kerem Shalom crossing was closed on Sunday because of what Israel said was Hamas rocket fire coming from Rafah, which killed at least 4 Israeli soldiers and wounded others who were close to that crossing. And now the White House had said that President Biden had specifically asked for that crossing to be reopened. It's a main artery for aid that goes into Gaza still, and we're hearing that that is now reopening for the security checks that Israel demands are carried out before the lorries can pass into Gaza carrying their desperately needed aid.
And Yolande, just lastly, where are we on the ceasefire talks?
We've not had any update on the ceasefire talks, but we know that in Cairo you now have, alongside the Egyptian and Qatari mediators and the US team that's there as well, Hamas and Israel with their delegations for these indirect talks. Now, Israel has really sent a lower level negotiating team with quite a limited mandate. Basically, it says to see if it can get anything out of these talks. We were told that there were some specific areas of difference after Hamas came out saying it accepted this 3-stage plan for a ceasefire and hostage release. I mean, some of the differences seem quite easy to overcome. They're things like specifying that the first group of Israeli hostages, some 33 of them that are released, should all be those who are still alive. We know that there are also some dead bodies, more than 30, that are held in Gaza. On top of that, things like wanting Israeli women soldiers to be returned home more quickly than this plan laid out. But the really fundamental difference remains there about, the plan for an end to the war, because ultimately in the document that has been seen by journalists, that's been leaked out to the media, it talks about a return to sustainable calm, a permanent halt, cessation of military and hostile acts. And that is really problematic for Israel. It went into this war saying that it wanted to dismantle Hamas in Gaza, that it wanted to stop it having any military capabilities and stop it coming back to power. And in the background here, you have this problem that there has been no real post-war vision for Gaza that has been agreed for something that is viable as an alternative to Hamas being in power there. Other Palestinian bodies coming in. And at the moment, that really looks like the very difficult part of the ceasefire negotiations for the mediators to try to overcome.
Yolande, thank you for that.